welcome back to the Soft Edit. Today I am joined by a very special guest, my sister, and we will be talking about the evolution of sisterhood, sibling relationships, familial relationships, and how you grow through them and away from them. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
So this is Tim Neat.
It's like Tim is neat.
That's a great way to describe it.
Right.
And she is my older sister. Mm-hmm. We are only a year and a half apart, so quite close in age and I would say in life. Although we've had our journeys like every sibling relationship.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, Demeet.
Whew.
I know,
all right.
Heavy question.
Very heavy question. This might sound like a dating profile. I apologize in advance. Hi, my name is Tim Neat. It's like Tim is neat, but people I like call me Timmy, so just not everyone though. And I am her older sister and had the immense pleasure of knowing her for 31 years.
Yeah. Congratulations about that.
The pleasure statement was sarcastic. Okay, it wasn't like a gift, just saying. Anyway, unlike you, I feel like my career path was very different. I'm an environmental scientist and university professor in California, and I feel like this is not sarcastic, truly blessed to have you as a sister.
Thank you.
And have a partner in life. And I'm really excited to talk about, siblinghood, relationships around siblinghood, and also actively embarrassing you with really good narratives.
Thank
So,
you.
yeah.
This is not sponsored. I did not pay her to say that she loves me, but I do appreciate it.
She did pay me.
No, you didn't. No, I didn't.
Okay.
So to start our conversation, I'd love to hear how you think we've changed over time.
Whoa.
How would you describe me as a child, and how has that changed today?
Okay.
Yeah, we're getting in there.
we're really diving deep. Okay.
Deep.
I would say when we were little, you were, I would say you still are curious, like incredibly curious, incredibly hungry for knowledge. And it was just really interesting to see how, for a kid, you had critical thinking skills.
Oh, yeah.
You would watch something and then you would
kid.
be like, you would question everything. Yeah. So that's a memory that I really have of you when we were much younger. I would say that definitely you were closed off a little bit. I felt like I was the emotive sibling, the one with all of the feelings. And you were very much like, why are you crying? I'd be like, oh, I saw this really sad thing and I start crying. And she'd be like, oh, why are you crying? If you cry, people are going to think you're weak.
I did say that.
You did say that.
I did say that.
Yeah, a lot.
Oh, no. Sure.
But you weren't really emotive. I would say you were vastly curious, and you still are. I would also say that you're funny. Not as much anymore.
Okay, calm down.
But back in the day, you really had some bangers. But anyway, I would say that you were, vastly filled with joy. Like you were always curious about things. You loved people. You were incredibly social. I would say you were the more social one out of the two of us, if I recall correctly. Yeah.
Huh.
And how have you changed? You actually know what feelings are now.
Oh yeah, that's true. I do say I'm learning to talk about my feelings.
You really are.
Yeah.
You really are. And I would say like you've come very far.
Thank you.
When it comes to that. It is called growth. I agree. So definitely I would say that. I would say that, your curiosity is still maintained. That's something that always drives you and fuels you. That hasn't wavered at all. I guess begrudgingly I'll say you're funny.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
But other ways that I've seen you evolve and grow, I think that you're not afraid to step into yourself. Because I remember, as kids, you would try these different creative pursuits, but you'd be so secretive about it.
That's true.
You would not share it with anybody, despite you doing, like, I'm not gonna lie, I read your diary in secret, but like
the truth comes out.
No, I mean, like, not like your dear diary, but like your poetry and stuff like that, And I liked also how you would anonymously blog them, but we all knew it was you. But anyway,
nobody else knew. Okay,
I did.
Okay, you knew.
But and I remember reflecting on that. I was like, wow, you're actually good at what you do, but you never wanted to share it with the world, really, per se. And I feel like dimensions around that were vulnerability.
Yeah.
And this biggest fear around vulnerability, which is something that I think we share. And it's just beautiful to see that, you're stepping into your own, you're being your whole self. You're not splintering your feelings from how you're physically presenting yourself in the world. Like, even you doing this podcast, for example, is like, that's growth.
Right.
That's really growth. So, I would say that I've seen you really come into yourself, name your feelings, which is something you never used to do. And actually show up for who you are. Because I think you always, in many ways, put others first.
Yeah.
But I will also say you've gotten incredibly compassionate.
Ooh.
Which you weren't when we were kiddos.
That's true. That's true.
And I feel like compassion is something that is learned. So that I feel like is a big part of your growth as well.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think definitely on the feeling side of the journey, that's been a lot of work for me. Yeah. It did not come naturally. Fear of vulnerability for sure. I think this whole podcast is an act of vulnerability for me.
Really is. Yeah.
And putting myself out there in a way where, I don't know, learning and unlearning actively in public is wild and would have been something that I never thought I could do. Yeah. But I think I do love how I've evolved as well. But thank you for that. That's beautiful.
You're welcome.
I will now say how I think you've changed. I think as a kid, you were very emotive, and honestly, I was very jealous. Because I couldn't like access the same centers as you. And you're right. I didn't have it. I didn't have like, it sounds so odd, but I didn't have like emotions connected to my words or my actions. They were just like put in like a corner and just never thought about ever again. And I think one of the things I really loved about you was how you were so open feeling. And then also you were like a little genius. Yes, she was a little genius.
I don't recall that.
She used to quiz people when they came to our house about like the capital cities when she was like 5 or 6.
So you're essentially telling people I had a special interest, which was memorizing information about all of the countries in the world. I don't think that makes me a genius. No,
you were.
It means I have excellent recall.
No, you memorized like everything. You were so, you just literally absorbed information. And I love how sassy you were about it too. You'd be like, oh, how old are you? You don't know the capital city of this place? Wow.
Yeah.
So I think that curiosity stayed.
Yeah.
I think the intellect stayed too, because you've gone on this long academic journey of your master's, your PhD, and now being a professor. Like it's amazing to see you nurture that part of yourself and grow.
Thank you.
I think how you've evolved, there was definitely a moment in time where you pulled away from your emotive self. And it's been quite inspiring lately to see you walk back into your emotive self, because I think it's a strength. I don't think it's a weakness. And I think I've always, always envied it. I don't think a lot of people have that. And I don't think you realize that a lot of people don't have that kind of capacity.
Mm-hmm.
And you have it just naturally. Yeah. And it's beautiful. So I love this evolution that you've gone through, where you're kind of now walking back into that part of who you are. Because it's such a beautiful part of who you are. So, yeah. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful for our relationship. I'm grateful that I've had the opportunity to witness you becoming this very strong, brilliant, kind, empathetic person. Because you've also always been kind. Like, arguably too kind sometimes.
I don't know about that.
Arguably too kind. But yeah, it's just been like magical to kind of see you grow and evolve. And I'm blessed to have you as my life partner, as we grow and evolve together.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And if someone asked you what I was like and they'd never met me before, how would you describe me? What would you tell them?
How many words? Are there limits?
No.
What are the parameters here?
Keep it short
Keep it
and
light?
sweet. Oh, keep it light. No, keep it deep. We don't do light.
Yeah, that's impossible.
We're not good at light.
We're not very good at light at all. I would say, I guess, echoing what I said earlier, you're incredibly curious. I feel like that really drives a lot of how you show up in the world, which I think is great. You're particular.
Ooh, that's true.
You're incredibly particular.
Everybody knows that.
About a lot of different things, which I think is not a bad thing. I think, in society, we're often faulted for being particular. No, you like things the way you like them, sure. But you also have to learn the gift of compromise, right? Yeah. But I would say you're not someone who's like uncompromising, right? So particular, but you're not uncompromising. Yeah. Does that make sense? Yeah. I would also say that you're incredibly joyful. Filled with a lot of joy, which I think is a very beautiful thing. You tend to see a lot of good and really tough moments, even though you sometimes don't believe it. But it's just really interesting to see how, hope just seems to be something that really like stirs within you and is maintained even when you hit a wall, which I think is a beautiful thing. I do also think that you are incredibly brilliant. I tell people you're the smartest person I know. It's the truth. It's the truth. You can ask multiple people who I say the smartest person I know is, and I say it's you. You're incredibly intelligent. And it's kind of fascinating when I've seen you in your professional settings and just seeing how, this warm, bubbly sister of mine is like this cutthroat, no nonsense individual. And I'm just like, T, go off. I love that. But yeah, no, you're incredibly brilliant. You have the ability to just like pick up different things with ease, which I think is such an awesome thing. Your curiosity really drives you to like try new things all the time, which I think is necessary. Yeah. And that's why I feel like you have a really full and embodied life in many ways. And so if I were to describe you, I'm just like, you truly are this embodiment of life in many ways, like the joyful parts, but you also have nuance and like awareness of the very difficult and heavy parts. And it's well balanced, if that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah.
Ooh, I love how you see me. You should just be introducing me everywhere.
You got it.
Everywhere I go, I'm just gonna
be like, hold on.
Nice to meet you.
I gotta call my sister. Give me a moment.
She's gonna give you the background on everything you need to know about me.
So, this is who she is. Can I go back to sleep now? Yeah, fair.
Oh, I love that. That's so beautiful. Thank you. And thank you for seeing me in that way. I think it's Yeah. It's also, I think, the people that are closest to you, how they see you is a reflection of who you are. And I'm grateful for the way that you see me, because you know more than most what a work in progress it's been.
I mean, we're all works in progress, right?
Yeah. We are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of beautiful part of life.
It is. You don't think that, though. It takes you a while to figure that out, because you initially you think like, oh, you're supposed to have it all figured out, and I've always thought, oh,
I think you've thought that.
Okay. Maybe it is just me.
Yeah, no. I mean, I feel like, yeah, you've always been very rigid about the expectations for yourself, sometimes to a fault.
Yeah.
Which I think that actually worried me a lot growing up, and did also as we were like entering our 20s and really discovering our professional selves, and how you just be very rigid, being like, this is when this has to happen, and this is when this has to happen, and this is when this has to happen. Oof. And I would often wonder, when are you going to live? Yeah. And it goes back to that point of you being particular. And it's really important to know that you're very particular with yourself. And I remember being very fearful of the dimensions of perfectionism that you had, where you wanted things to be exactly as they are. If they weren't, you wouldn't accept it.
Yeah.
And so it's beautiful to see how you're embracing this ideology of works in progress in your life and your identity, because you would not accept yourself being a work in progress. So I would say you felt that way, at least within our dynamic. Yeah. Because I firmly believe that being a work in progress is what life is. There's no way you're going to be this finished product ever.
Have you always felt that way, though?
I think that I felt that way when I went to college. Okay. Because I really did have like that, this is how I'm supposed to show up. I need to meet these expectations, perspective. And I realized that a lot of the expectations that I was saying were like coming from, external pressures, family, among other things, were actually my own expectations for myself. And they were often not founded in who I am and what I wanted for my life. Yeah. And so I would say like, I really had a hard year in college where I like completely like bottomed out. And I think that was my junior year of college. And that's when I realized that I was living up to expectations that I even don't truly believe in. And this thing of I have to be this and I have to be that, and this is how I have to show up, felt very, very constraining, at least from a professional perspective. In terms of like personal, I feel like that's something I still battle today. Like, I definitely do acknowledge that I'm a work in progress, and I really appreciate being a work in progress. Yeah. And I feel like that is life. Yeah. But if you were to ask me this question, be it 6 months ago, it'd be a very different answer. In part because, and we've briefly talked about this personally, in that I've always seen myself in utility of others. Yeah. And defined who I am as a person in utility to others, being like, this is how I show up. This is, I'm a good friend because I do this. I'm a good partner because I do this. I'm a good sister. I'm a good daughter because I do these things. And those expectations in so many ways, I started realizing was me denying the fact that it's like being of two minds, right? Denying the fact that I actively acknowledge living is being a work in progress, but also at the same time, telling myself that I'm not good enough because I haven't reached that finished product that is unattainable in my head on how I'm supposed to show up for people personally. So, yeah, complicated. Yeah. Nuanced. Yeah.
No, I mean, I completely understand that. And I think what I've been struggling with is or what I've been sort of navigating over the last few years of my life is sitting in that work in progress facet. Because you are right. I've always been like, oh no, everything has to happen in this way. And if it doesn't happen in this way, it's the end of the world. It's literally how I thought. Like, it's the end of the world.
Yeah.
Similar to you, I had moments where that sort of started to break. But it broke really slowly. I also had a time in college when I went through, like, just like the difficulty and pressure of, like, you know, studying 2 majors, having a job, like all those things at the same time. And I remember one day I just like sort of hit this like breaking point. And there was like a text message you sent me. I had it screenshotted for the longest time. I still have it in my photo gallery somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah, where you were
what
like...
this text say? I want to know.
No, because I was panicking, and it's so funny. You know, you've been telling me this stuff for a long time, but I never heard it. And I think it's really over the last few years that I've heard it. It was just a text that was saying it's going to be okay. Whatever's coming is coming. Whatever's yours will come. But I couldn't. I guess it was kind of what I was telling you when we were younger, which was a terrible thing to say. I'm sorry about that.
It's okay. You were a kid.
Yeah. I was a kid.
Yeah.
I was trying to hold it all together as a kid.
Pretty much, yeah.
I thought it was weakness.
And I mean, I feel like a good chunk of that is also conditioning of like our identities, right? Where you come from an identity that is tainted with war and loss and grief. That expressing emotion that was not anger, that was not joy, felt like a waste in many ways. In part because, and I often think about this quote, like, we have to celebrate that we're alive. Because a lot of people weren't. There was a lot of grief, a lot of loss. And I feel like that conditioned us in many ways.
Yeah.
You know? And it wasn't like, you know, a fault of like our lovely, amazing parents.
Yeah.
It was just more of like, this is what happens when your identity revolves around loss and grief and survival. Yeah. You don't have time to think about feelings. You don't have time to cry.
Yeah.
You know?
There's no room for anything.
There's no room for anything else. So I don't fault you for thinking it was weakness. It's unfortunately what was around us.
Yeah.
And that's how we interpreted it.
Yeah.
I was just like, I got tears and cried continuously. And you're like, the hell you doing? So it's really interesting too, seeing like how, you know, similar experiences but very different
results.
Different interpretations and results in general.
I know.
Yeah.
It's wild, and it's so interesting because if I may, for the longest time, I thought you were wrong and I was right. And I was like, you need to be more like me.
I remember that.
I don't understand why you're not like, you know, just more like me. You should be more like me. And I think I had that when we were kids, where I was like, you know, toughen up. Like, you know, you have to be able to just power through, and nothing should get to you. You need to be... I guess a robot. Like that was how I thought it was, and I was just like, you have to just keep going and follow the script. And the fact that you didn't was so disruptive for me because it clashed with my reality. And if I can reflect, instead of meeting it with empathy or understanding, I definitely met it with like frustration.
Mm-hmm.
When, as we've gotten older, you were right. I realized
Did people hear that I was right? Thank you, chat. Okay.
Soundbite. That's about to be a ringtone. You were right.
Facts. I'm glad you know. Anyway, not to make light of a serious situation.
No, but it's true.
Yeah.
And I think it's because it was so different to everything else that we experienced, and how you lived was contrary to how all of us lived. And yeah, and it's been this interesting force. You've been this interesting force in my life, because even in those moments, I think even as we got older, it's taken me a really long time to shed this. You know, it's taken me a really long time. It's really only happened over the last few years.
Yeah.
And if I'm being honest, it's happened really slowly. And yeah, it's crazy that my whole life you've kind of been telling me words that I couldn't hear until like a couple years ago, but really, if I'm being honest, until 9 months ago. Yeah. And then it was like I heard everything you said at once.
Finally.
Yeah, right. I know.
Yeah. I mean, and I will say this, and this is something that I've thought a lot about. It was really hard for me to not be myself. I did eventually get conditioned to do that, and became very disconnected with myself and very robotic in many ways, just out of mere need for survival. And it's interesting how you're talking about it in a way of like, it was rigid, and then I was being like, no, you can't be rigid, and it's like, you do too much, right? And it's interesting that you say that, because I feel like I'm having that dynamic within myself right now. And that is, you know, actively just being very disconnected from a lot of things, after dealing with a very intensive graduate school experience, being the only Black woman in my PhD program and navigating that. And it was hard, right? It was very hard. It was very isolating. And me with my feelings, there was no room for that, right? And in order to survive, you know, the different kinds of pressures, intimidation, you know, discrimination that you're actively facing in spaces like that, I became what I knew was right to survive, right? And I convinced myself that I was too much. And I feel like that is like a common trope now. As like I'm coming back into my feelings, I'm opening myself up to truly be who I am, after just like distancing myself, because I was just being signaled from everybody like, I'm too much. You take up too much space. You express too many feelings. You're too much in so many ways, be it if I noticed injustices within my program, actively standing up for that, advocating for more diverse curricula, dealing with, you know, people in my life who actively wanted me to hold them but did not actively want to hold me. It became easier to not feel anything, to be very distant from that. And so as you talk about how those cracks happened for you, and they happened for you in a very slow way, and I really am sitting here and realizing that my feeling self really showed up for you in many ways that I thought it did not. And so listening to you talk about that, I'm actively, as someone who's coming back into herself, grieving that I'm not that person anymore, that I shut her down for many, many years, and I'm finally trying to come back into her. So this is a grief session.
No, but I hear that.
Yeah.
Because I think there is a tendency, especially if you're a woman entering a lot of male-dominated fields, there is kind of a minimization of softness.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And it's almost like seen as weakness. Obviously, this is something we talk about, but it's seen as weakness. And so it's very difficult to show up softly. It's very difficult to show up vulnerably.
Yeah.
And hold space at the same time.
Yeah.
Because it's not accepted, it's not appreciated, and it's also not what anybody else is doing.
Yeah. But honestly, and that's something that I've been sitting with a lot, being like, why am I trying to co-opt this perspective that is so unlike me?
It's true.
Like, I should care.
Yeah.
I really don't like the idea. And I heard this a lot from numerous people in my life, especially as, you know, I stepped into myself as an educator, investing time in my students, among other things, and caring about what happened in their life.
Yeah.
Being told, why do you care so much?
Yeah.
Why shouldn't I care? Right? I think that care is incredibly important. I really hate this ideology of, you know, things stop here. Like, granted, yes, there has to be professional distance at all times.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I walk into a classroom. I'm not only looking at students, I'm looking at people with whole lives.
Yeah.
Impacted lives. And therefore, I owe them that I as a human see them as a human. I understand that they have feelings. I understand that things might be happening that I'm not really aware of, and they deserve grace, right? And that's something that I feel like I'm actively challenging myself with about this detachment, because it's convenient and it's less exhausting.
Yeah.
And it's upsetting to me because I look at our society today and I'm like, we owe each other everything. This whole ideology of we owe each other nothing is, for lack of a better word, BS.
It is.
We owe each other everything. And it requires us showing up in our very imperfect selves. It requires us having moments of tension and conflict, but having this commitment to repair and openness. It requires us to recognize when our pride is being challenged. It requires us to care.
Yeah.
It requires us to be empathetic. Who said that being like this cold, detached person is what professional is?
Yeah.
And I found myself co-opting that, especially as a scientist, a woman who's a scientist, a Black woman who's a scientist. Levels to this, right? And I was like, this is, and I remember like, after I was done with my graduate program, thinking to myself, I'm like, this is not who I am.
Yeah.
And I think it's really unfair that I'm not showing up authentically as myself in the name of meeting the status quo that, to begin with, was not designed for me and did not intend on me even succeeding in it. And the fact that I did is like a total defiance of the system. So why am I going to keep showing up the way they expect me to?
Exactly.
So, yeah, that took a tangent.
I love that, though. I love the power in that. Because similarly, like, I think, I mean, in my field, it's very male-dominated, and it has long been male-dominated. I haven't worked with as many women as I would like, and in a lot of rooms, I've been the only woman. Never even mind Black woman. I've been the only woman. Yeah. And you know, I think it's there's this thinking around, okay, because it's logic and numbers and all of this, you need to be this way, and it's the only way to exist. It's the only way to negotiate. It's the only way to get things done. And I feel like it's similar to a conversation I was having with another one of our guests around masculinity, where he says the issue with masculinity today and how we define it, because this is masculinity, right? You're showing up in a masculine energy because you think that that's the way to win.
Mm-hmm.
And not even a healthy definition of masculinity.
Mm-hmm.
You're showing up in this one-dimensional view of masculinity.
Mm-hmm.
And then I asked him, like, okay, what's the point? Why should we push past this?
Mm-hmm.
He said, because it'll cost you everything.
Mm.
It'll cost you your individualism. It will cost you who you are. It will cost you the magic of the in-between. If you're fitting into a very slim JD and that's how you build your life,
Yeah,
it will cost you everything. And I loved that because it's true. It does cost you everything. In showing up as someone else or in a definition that is accepted but doesn't serve you and isn't who you are, robs you of who you are.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
It's really powerful.
Right? Which is wild. It blew my mind. It's like, oh, wow.
Like tea.
Literally tea. Literally tea.
Fair.
And you know, you and I are quite different people.
Are we?
A little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah. Just a smidge.
Just a smidge.
And it's been, you know, we've sort of talked about this, but as a result, our relationship has been different and gone through different evolutions.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm curious from your perspective how being different has impacted our relationship, or how it's forced us to kind of hold our relationship together, what it's forced us to do.
Yeah. I feel like being vastly different in many ways.
Yeah.
Sometimes I've found myself not feeling like I can share some stuff with you in fear that, granted, you know, like we've talked about the evolution and stuff, but in fear that you would dismiss what I was feeling, which is not a great feeling to have.
Yeah.
And I will say this as someone who has had a lot of feelings just in general, right? I think something that I took a lot from when we were kids of just being told, hey, you need to feel less, right? You need to not cry. You need to just button up and do whatever it is. The signal I got from that was, you are burdening me. And I feel like that is something that has echoed consistently through the different phases of my life. And when I am dealing with something that's really heavy, and I will say this, that I'm not someone who just like openly shares a lot of how I'm feeling all the time. But if it's like really heavy that I know that I need to talk to somebody about it, you know, half the load.
Yeah.
I always feared like talking to you would actually just be a burden. And I feel like that really strained our relationships in many ways, in that we weren't as close as we used to be. Because I was just like, I don't know how to take up space in this relationship, largely because I don't feel like you had the capacity to actually hold what it is that I was holding. And I think that a lot of the time too, back to the dimension of you being very particular, when you would call and share, you know, about something that's impacting you and stuff like that, how you'd expect me to say things in a particular way. I often felt like I was falling short, that I was actually often causing more conflict for you rather than it was actually supporting you. And so that was something that I also felt like really impacted our dynamic a lot. But one thing I will say is that, you know, we were in very different parts of our lives and we went our separate ways at a very young age. And formative years, might I add. But I think that one thing that our relationship has shown me is not, you know, it's not like the way when we would have arguments when we were little and mom would just like put us in a room and just like figure it out. But it was just more of like I learned a lot about the importance of repair in a relationship, because you can always choose to leave.
Yeah.
You can always choose to walk out of a situation, right? And honestly, that can be the best decision for that person.
Yeah.
But I never ever felt, and it's not because we're sisters, but just like more of like this general commitment and deep love for you. I never ever felt like that was an option, right? And so one thing it taught me a lot was the importance of repair in relationships, not because you have conflict and like points of tension that you're quick to just be like, I'm done and I'm out, right? But rather just being like, okay, I need space. I need to remember what is true, right? I love this person. They love me. I care for them. This moment of tension does not define our relationship as a whole.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like that is something that I've carried along in my life a lot, sometimes to a fault. Because sometimes, you don't need to be repairing things.
You need to repair
Everything. Exactly. But it really did teach me the importance of repair and like the importance of investing in a relationship and caring so deeply for that relationship that you want it to succeed.
Yeah.
And so I feel like we've had our seasons where, we're heavily dependent on each other, and we've had our seasons where we barely talk.
Yeah.
And it goes back to that whole fear of being a burden kind of thing that I felt, just being as someone who's super emotive, and you were not someone who was super emotive at the time.
Yeah.
And I feel like that really constrained our relationship in many ways.
Fair.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting?
What?
Is I'm putting this together right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was really the fact that we were so different that created friction. Because I was living in this like frame of mind that everything needs to play out exactly like this, and that was the only way that I felt safe.
Yeah.
And as a result, when I was talking to you, or if I ever like confided in you about something and you didn't show up the way I expected, I was so confused. I was like, why wouldn't you just
why don't you get it?
Right. Like, why won't you just show up the way you're supposed to show up in my head?
Yeah.
Because that's the only thing that is safe.
Yeah.
And also because the way that you showed up was also a bit more forgiving and expansive of what could go right or wrong. And I didn't want to hear that, because I was like, no, this is right. I'm going to get it right, okay? If it kills me, I will get it right.
Period.
And that was it. It was how I worked. And similarly, when you came to me with things, I couldn't carry them the way that you would carry them. Because I wasn't where you were. My capacity at the time was limited. That was all I was capable of. And I think in our relationship, one of the things that I'm grateful for, or that it's forced in both of us, but really in me, I think, is kind of taking a step back again. You love this person. This is your partner for life. I don't know about you, but we're in this.
Dang it.
And so, how do you understand them and who they are and where they're coming from, and how does that sort of influence how you carry, navigate, support them?
Yeah.
Because I think what we forget as people is we want to support people the way we feel is right. When you love someone, if they're asking for support in a specific way, that's the way you should be supporting them.
Yeah.
And yeah, I guess it gets difficult in that respect when you're kind of imposing your views of how someone should handle something or how someone should carry something on them instead of acknowledging who they are, how they're navigating something, and then showing up for them in that way. Yeah.
I feel like that's a big life lesson.
Right?
Yeah.
People are not all the same, guys.
No, they're not.
But that.
Even if they grew up in the same household.
I know.
Vastly different.
It's like, you know, that experiment with the twins where they're like, oh yeah, two different interventions and stuff. It's crazy. And I love, I can't remember the psychologist's name who says that you never grow up with the same parents, even if you grow up in the same household.
Yeah.
It's so true.
So true.
It's so true.
Even if we're so close in age.
Yeah. It doesn't matter if like it's, you know, you're predisposed to some things or other things. You also like the environmental factors, the way you receive and move in the world. It's not the same. It's different.
Yeah. It's true.
Yeah. Oof. Real talk. In this season of our relationship, what are you like the most excited by? Because I think our relationship has gone like when we were little, and then when we were like in our teens.
We really hated each other as
yeah,
teenagers.
okay, that's true. That's true. So when we were little, I think there was like a little bit of friction, but it was okay. And then when we were teens, I also think we split off. We lived in different places. We weren't really together all the time, and it kind of went this way. And then as we've gotten older, I think it's kind of converging back. And I, for one, love this season of our relationship because I think I have so much more capacity than I've had in the past. And I think I understand you more keenly than I did in the past. It's a work in progress for sure. But yeah, so I'm curious, what are you excited about in this season of our relationship?
I feel I'm most excited that you're actually stepping into who you are, right? You are feeling what you're feeling. You're not running away from yourself.
Oof. Tea.
Because it's the one person you can't run away from, right? You're not running away from yourself.
Yeah.
And you're hearing yourself out, right? You are opening yourself up to the world, which I feel like is such a gift. And I just love to see you in this embodied version of yourself. This joyful version of yourself. Because it's not a matter of how much capacity you have for us in this, which you definitely have more capacity now in this relationship. But I actively see how this has impacted and shifted your life for the better. And that to me, I think, makes me really excited about getting to know and support and care for this version of you, just as I've done for the past versions of who you are. But like I'm actually seeing you show up as yourself. And I think that's the best thing that could happen to our relationship.
Yeah. Oof, I love that. Thank you.
Yeah. Ain't no thing.
No, but it's true. And I think one of the things I also want to normalize, to your point, around repair.
Yeah.
I think in every long-term relationship, like really long-term relationship, when you are committed
31 years.
Yeah, 31 years.
That's
and counting.
And counting. It keeps going. It keeps going. Yeah.
In every relationship like that, there's going to be moments of friction, moments of disruption.
Yeah.
Moments of breaking, moments of repair. And sometimes it lasts days, sometimes it lasts weeks, sometimes it lasts months, sometimes it lasts years. But at the core of it, it is kind of this choice decision to love each other.
It is.
And to show up for each other. And to commit to understanding each other. even when it's not the easiest thing, and even when
True.
it's not natural
True.
to you, you know?
True.
Like,
Yeah.
like, why is she thinking that way, or why is she reacting that way?
It don't make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To your brain, it makes sense. To
Yeah.
your brain, it makes sense. You
Yeah,
know? And so
exactly.
it's like,
Yeah.
and I think, yeah, like life is like that. And
Mhm.
I think love is being curious about the other person, committing to understanding the other person, even if it's not intuitive to you.
Mhm.
It's inconvenient.
Yeah, love is seldom convenient. And
Yeah.
I think about that also just like outside the realms of like romantic dimensions and relationships, right? Like even with sibling relationships, it's not going to be convenient. The expectation that it's going to be great, you have to love me,
Yeah.
right? Kind of thing. True, but also I can choose to not as well. I think it's a choice to love someone daily. Regardless of how challenging things are, regardless of like the state of the relationship as a whole, right? Like the nature of the relationship. So I think about that a lot. And how I think about when I express love for anybody in my life is like, I woke up today and I chose to still love this person. And that is such a beautiful thing, to have that freedom of choice to love that person.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. It's beautiful.
You're welcome. I'm kidding.
Dropping the sound bites.
No. Do not put me in a sound bite.
It's true. It is a choice, honestly.
It is.
And you're so right. I think we think about it only in the realm of romantic relationships.
Right.
And we don't realize every kind of love is effort.
It really
Every
is.
kind of love
And
is
I feel
work.
like even friendships,
Yeah.
right? Like I would say that there needs to be dimensions of intimacy in friendships as well, right? There needs to be dimensions of intimacy in romantic relationships. Like, and intimacy is emotional intimacy, especially. Like that is like those dimensions that we truly need to honor and invest in. Like I feel like I have a very full life because I have such beautiful, intimate friendships, beautiful, intimate, like relationships with my family members.
Yeah.
Like that to me is like this genuine commitment to being like, I love you, not just because I'm supposed to, but I love you because of X, Y, and Z, and how we show up for each other, how we care for each other. I love you outside of the utility of what our relationship is, right? And it's really heartbreaking to see a lot of the narratives that, as a person who reads avidly, like the narratives are always about like putting that investment in romantic relationships and not necessarily taking into consideration the other relationships in your life that you probably shouldn't take for granted, that you truly need to invest in. And choosing to love someone every day requires that investment.
It does.
Yeah.
Oh, it does. And I think even for me, it took me a while to learn that, that it is actually effort and it is actually extending yourself.
Yeah.
And it is an act of selflessness, like
It
to
is.
consider another person.
Oh, absolutely.
But that's what love is. That's
Love is consideration.
Yeah, it is. Fact. Tea.
Love is a
love
lot of
is
things.
Consideration. It's
But
true.
consideration is a central part of it.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
I love that. What would you for people that are sort of finding their way back to each other or finding their way, maybe sibling relationships, for siblings that are finding their way back to each other, finding their way to reconnecting, sort of building a healthy relationship with each other,
Mm-hmm.
what would you tell them? Or like, what have you learned in this journey of being siblings? Like, what does it mean to build a long relationship that is close, even when it's difficult?
I think it's not expecting it to be perfect, recognizing that it's going to be messy, it's going to suck.
Yeah.
There are moments where someone's going to show up for you, there are moments where they will not. And that's okay, right? I feel like there needs to be a healthy level of understanding that you are seeking an interdependent relationship with this person rather than a codependent one. That that, you know, repair needs to be something that you're truly committed to. But also recognizing that sometimes for some relationships, sibling relationships as well, if you cannot get to that point, because it takes two, right? It takes a willingness of both being present and being like, okay, I'm committed to this. But if it's very one-sided, understandably making a choice that is better for you, right? I'm not going to tell someone who has a very toxic relationship with their sibling that you should work it out, you know, especially if like there's no willingness to like truly work it out, or willingness to like engage in repair together, right? It's those are the moments where you're just going to be like, I get it. I understand no contact. I understand the desire to not want to be in a relationship with someone, even though you truly deeply love them. And that's okay. Because sometimes the best thing you can do is walk out of someone's life. And so I will say that it does require like that commitment from all parties involved to be committed to understanding each other, engaging in repair, and working towards strengthening that relationship. But sometimes like there aren't like clear goalposts for that. But just like taking it a day at a time rather than being like, this is how it needs to be at this time, exactly this particular way. So that's probably what I would say. It's a very ambiguous answer.
No,
but I feel like it really is a situational context kind of dimension here, if that makes sense.
No, I agree. And I would say the same. I don't think every relationship in the world is fixable.
It's not.
I think some, especially if it's to the detriment of your own health repeatedly.
Right.
With toxic patterns or people that can't take accountability, then, you know, maybe it makes sense to walk away. But I think for siblings or other relationships, when you lose connection with each other, when it's not intentional, it just kind of happens because you don't put in as much effort as you used to, or you don't prioritize it as much. I think you can find your way back to each other.
Absolutely.
I think what we've learned is acknowledging that you're not the same, and so you can't expect the other person to be the same.
Exactly.
And just because they're not the same doesn't mean that they're wrong or that you're wrong. It's just you're different.
Yep.
And you have to approach them with curiosity and love and compassion and care to nurture your relationship. And they have to do the same for you. And I love what you said about it not having to be perfect, because it's true. Everybody's going to make mistakes.
Absolutely.
Everybody's going to have those days. Just
Okay.
I had to. But it's true. Everybody does make mistakes. And you have to give kind of the grace for those mistakes too. Of course, with accountability, of course, with correction and effort to repair. But yeah, we're not perfect.
Not.
Nobody is.
Nobody is.
Yeah.
It would really suck if you were perfect. Like, what's interesting about
I
life?
know. You would be so bored. I would be so bored. I wouldn't even have a podcast.
Needed a hug. Starts a podcast.
Literally. Probably needed a hug. Instead, started a podcast. Navigating my feelings so I can talk to everybody in the world about my feelings.
Period.
Yeah. I, for one, must say, though, I am glad that our relationship has taken the path that it has, and that we've become and played this role in each other's lives. And yeah, growth and evolution and all of it is so confusing sometimes.
It's messy.
It is.
And it's not, there's no formula to it.
Yeah.
It's often not chronological.
I know. What's up with that? It's true.
It's chronological, but like not in like the desired stage of life, I guess.
Yeah.
Like it's not like the
It
chronological
doesn't.
way you'd expect
You
it to be.
don't. This was my thing. You don't get descripted. It's
Yeah,
not
you really
act
don't.
2, act 1.
You
You know,
really
like go,
don't.
go, go. It's
Yeah.
like, no.
That's true.
It just happens. But I must say, I think I'm lucky and I'm happy that this unraveling or evolution or whatever it is has brought us closer. And I think one of the things I've also learned is you have to learn to appreciate every person you become.
Yeah.
And every person your sister or sibling or whatever relationship becomes to. Because you're also evolving.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's okay.
And that is totally okay. That's expected.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us to meet. This was so fun.
Thank you for having me.
I hope people learn things about relationships and siblings and not being perfect, because I think that's also another one.
Absolutely.
Nothing in life is perfect.
Agreed.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Again, this is my sister, to meet.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us on the podcast. And we'll see you next time. Bye.
See ya.